We've got updates on some new features that could be potential game changers for Dynasty and online dynasties in college football 26. Let's talk about it. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Welcome back into JC CFB, where you can see all kinds of CFB 25 and now CFB 26 content as well into our second year of the game, returning. Super excited. As you guys know, I love the college football video game here at JC CFB, and if you do as well, be sure to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date on the news and the lead up for 26, and of course, gameplay content going back to 25, and of course, coming for 26 in the near future as well. You can check out if you're a fan of the game and you want to stay up to date on what's coming in college football 26. I'll keep you up to date on it here. And if you would, hit that thumbs up button while you're watching the video. Help me out with that crazy YouTube algorithm. Throw your thoughts in the comments on what you think about some of these features, which we're getting these updates courtesy of Chris Vanini, who had the opportunity to play the game early. He was one of the people that had that chance. We talked about Robbie Callan in a couple videos we released previously on the channel. Now here's Chris Vanini, and he's been talking about it on his Bunch Formation podcast. But what I found interesting is this morning he released an episode in which he had an interview with the principal game designer, Ben Haumiler, who's worked on, the college football series for, 20 plus years now. And he really dished some good details of some new features that they're adding to the game, which of course we're going to learn more about when the deep dives come around. But I think that these right here, just what we know about them briefly, could be game changers for dynasties and online dynasties. So let's dive in here. I'll play a couple clips here and talk about each one of them. And then I'll get to kind of the end, a wrap up of why I think all of these combined could be a game changer for dynasty mode.
As you guys went into this game, what were the biggest things you guys wanted to attack and improve upon, the top couple things?
Yeah, you look at, speaking specifically about Dynasty, for example, like you look at where you ended and you're like, okay, cool, the transfer portal. That's a big part of college football these days. And the way we had things set up over time, just you would start to have smaller and smaller number of players in the portal. We had to correct that and trying to find a new way of making sure that you keep that portal stocked all around. So we did a lot of things like adding deal breakers to every single player, making those deal breakers dynamic, adding things like playing time. Snaps matter just as much as do they care about playing time as their deal breaker or not. Like all blue chip players and especially all quarterbacks are going to care about their playing time. So you're not going to be able to stockpile players maybe as much as you were this last year.
All right, so starting right there, couple nice details for Dynasty. Number one, something that we all wanted and hoped and kind of expected, and we knew was coming with their initial update was, the transfer portal upgrades. I'm sure making it more expansive, making more players enter, and you see the ways that they've done that is by adding deal breakers to every player and, making them more dynamic. And what I love there, though, the detail that he added at the end that I think is, one of these game changer things that we're talking about for Dynasty is the fact that, a lot of the higher rated players, the higher rated recruits, the blue chip prospects, as he called them there, are going to be guys that want playing time, right? So, last year's game, you may have had someone that's a really good recruiter in your online dynasty, and they're getting all the 5 stars, and they're just stockpiling an amazing roster. And, with the way the transfer portal went last year, you get deeper into dynasty mode, and that transfer portal got smaller. A lot of guys weren't entering. You were able to keep guys for 4 years. That's probably not going to happen as often. It's definitely not going to happen as often for blue chip style players. So it's going to make your online dynasties be more competitive and more balanced because a lot of those guys, if someone is able to recruit them initially, get them into their school, those guys are going to be hitting the portal a year or two down the road, and someone else in the dynasty is going to be picking them up also. So I think it's going to add more competitiveness, more balance to our online dynasties, make them a lot more fun to play in. I like that addition. Let's go further here.
Also, too, what's changing? Just last week, the CFP comes out with their new format of getting rid of the first round buys for conference champions, now the straight seeding. That's on us. We've got to have that. We have to have that, ready to go.
And you guys had that, you said, within 4 hours of the announcement, you had put it in the game already.
That was the amazing part to see how quickly we can jump on some things. And this was one that was, thankfully for us, really easy to do. But yeah, within the announcement going out, and we, obviously we follow along. We knew that there was a potential there. So we had already talked about how we would do it if we had to. Announcement comes out. And then, one of our guys, Mark Price, one of the guys that's the mastermind behind the guts of Dynasty, says, oh, yeah, I've got that ready to go. 4 hours later, he had it checked in, and we were just going through. So what you saw, what I showed today, was his first sim after doing it. And you can see, oh, yeah, perfect. There it is. It all lines up exactly as we need it to, and it's in the game.
All right, so there obviously something that last year we had our complaints about as well was the college football playoff would get a little bit wonky as well in dynasty mode and in online dynasty mode. Sounds like not only has that been corrected, but they've also added the new straight seeding model that college football is adapting this year, which if you don't know, they've changed it to from where, the conference champions get automatic buys, get those first 4 seeds. Instead, it's going by, the college football playoff rankings, just the straight top 12. That's how they're going to be seeded 1 through 12 is where they sit in the rankings. So that's going to be a little bit more interesting the way that they're doing that model this year, and that's in the game already. Good to hear that, and it's impressive how quick they got it in. So that's going to help your dynasty modes. What else do we have here?
What were some of the other couple things you guys knew you couldn't quite get to in 25 that you have in 26?
Yeah, think about presentation, right? All the different mascots that we've added in this year, so many different traditions and pieces like that. Last year it was so much work to build one run out for each school to have that. And after time, you'd see that same run out over and over again. It was still great, but I've seen it. So now you have more variety of things you're going to do there to help keep that game fresh.
All right, so there something you may think, all right, that's just something a little bit small. That's just something a little bit more presentation related. But he's right. How often did you just skip the intros because you've seen them all 100 times and you just got right into playing the game? Well, that's one way they're going to keep it interesting. That's going to help your seasons and dynasty as well. Is certain games are going to have maybe not. I don't want to say lackluster, but just kind of your customary entrance there, but then your big games are going to have different entrances. And I think that that's kind of what he's highlighting there is they've, kind of not only do you have the great runouts, they've added more details to those that they built on, originally last season, but they're going to have multiple for each team based on, the level of your opponent, the quality of the game that you're playing, which I think is a really nice touch as well. And it'll just keep things fresh. We're all about quality of life stuff and keeping things fresh as well. And last, but certainly not least, may have saved the best for last, or certainly I think the one that could be most impactful and is definitely going to be a game changer for your dynasties and your online dynasties.
Wear and tear was another one, I think, on the gameplay side that we had a lot of success with of how it worked, but also, too, a lot of mystery of how it worked. And so now you can see a lot more about how wear and tear works. You have a lot of settings that you can, impact how you want it to work for you. You have your season and career health meters now, so where you can see and monitor this player's progress throughout the year of their wear and tear. How injured are they? And then over the course of the season, that will regenerate. But if you drain that bar all the way down and go into the next year, their career health is going to take a hit, and they'll be more prone to injury. They'll be tired faster because of how much you're using them. And so, you can use things like formation subs. You can use things like auto subs, all those different pieces to help manipulate your roster to where you're spreading some playing time out there to help keep your guys fresh, but also give them the snaps they need to make them happy and just kind of live in this whole college football world.
All right, so we knew that they were making adjustments to wear and tear with adding the sliders and such, but what we didn't necessarily know until he kind of dished on it there, or at least I hadn't previously, is that you're going to have the season health meter and the career health meter now for wear and tear versus it more just being game by game basis. I think in the previous update, I talked about them trying to do it more season and career based. I was kind of wondering how they would do that. I love that idea of having a season health meter on each player and then even a career health meter on each player as well, which, if you get that season health meter drained, you can hurt that career health meter, and then you can maybe, literally harm that player's career throughout. So I think, with a few of these things combined, we have some really good updates for Dynasty and Online Dynasty that are game changers that help you, as he said, they're living that college football world. So we want this to be a simulation game. And I think these features help make Online Dynasty more balanced and competitive. More on that momentarily. But before I get to it, I want to say definitely check out this full interview with this full podcast episode by Chris Vanini. I'll link the video here that I utilized for this one in the video description, but a lot of more good stuff in there. There's a little bit, more to the Ben Haumiler interview. I just picked out the stuff that I thought really stood out for Dynasty and Online Dynasty because that's the main thing you guys know I like to play and talk about here, and those are really big issues for it, which I'll hit on more momentarily, but definitely check out that full episode. They also answer questions that fans sent in to Chris Vanini, who had a chance to play the game, so some good stuff detailed there as well. Like I said, I'll link that in the video description. But with that being said, you look at this all together, right? Because you go back to the first thing that Haumiler mentioned there, which is the improvements to the portal, which is not only going to make the portal more fun, more active, better players in the portal, with the new deal breakers, the dynamic deal breakers, but also people aren't going to be able to stockpile great recruits. Those guys are going to hit the portal. So that's going to make online dynasties more balanced, more competitive. And also, have to make you be more strategic with how you attack recruiting, how you attack recruiting the transfer portal. Of course, the CFP being updated is good because that's just a function that's going to help us in Dynasty. But really, then you look at the wear and tear that we just talked about with the season health meter and the career health meter, and people are really going to have to be strategic there as well with how they utilize their players. They can't just have, even if they do have, a great 99 speed receiver or 95 plus speed running back that's 230 pounds, it's a monster. They can't give it to him 40 times every game. He's going to affect his season health, eventually affect his career health. So you're going to have multiple players. You're going to have to utilize the new formation subs, dynamic substitutions, and it's going to make you really feel more, like I said, simulation style, like you're living in this college football world where you're the coach of this team in this dynasty mode. You have to have full control as to, okay, I need to have some sub packages where I have these other players in so my guys' wear and tear doesn't get affected. I need to make sure that my players are getting these snaps as well so that these dynamic deal breakers aren't affecting them, and then they're hitting the portal and I'm losing some of my best guys as well. So it's going to be more strategic for everyone involved. So I think that these features right here that we don't even know a ton about yet are already, to me, going to be game changers for Dynasty and Online Dynasty. So I'm super excited by the stuff we heard there from the principal game designer, Ben Haumiler. Shout out to him. Shout out to Chris Vanini from the Athletic and the Bunch Formation podcast for that. But we'll learn more about this in the deep dives coming up, guys. We're going to start getting those deep dives weekly. We'll have another one coming up later this week, I'm sure, and I'll be covering it here on JCCFB. So if you want to stay up to date with the news and all the features for this game, be sure to hit that subscribe button, stay up to date on that, and get gameplay content for the CFB video games as well. Hit the thumbs up button before you head out. That really helps us out with that crazy YouTube algorithm. And throw your thoughts in the comments here. Are you just excited about this as I am and how it could affect Dynasty and Online Dynasty? How are you feeling about some of these features that we've covered here in this video? I'd really appreciate that. Just like I appreciate you tuning into this one, and I will catch you on the next one.